Balakhand, Canto 1, Ram Hridaya. I worship Janki Nath, Sri Ram, the Lord who is almighty, intelligent, and indestructible, who had manifested on the surface of this earth in the Suryavansha, sun rays, as a human like image at the behest of the gods to remove the burden of this earth, and who, having slayed the hordes of demons and having established his stable and steady fame and glory, which is capable of destroying sins, had once again merged in his original eternal absolute form of the Brahm. I bow my head to Sitapati, who is an expert in the knowledge of the essence and elementary principles, who is the only cause of the beginning, existence, and annihilation of the universe, who is beyond Maya, in spite of being its abode, whose form cannot be imagined, who is a treasury of bliss, peace, and tranquility, who is without faults, reproofs, or honors, and who is self-illuminated. Those persons who daily and regularly read or hear with due concentration and devotion this treatise called Adhyatma Ramayan, which is pristine, pure, sublime, and has the divine sanctity of various Purans, become free of sins and attain Lord Hari. If anyone wishes to get liberation from the shackles of this mundane world, then he should regularly read this Adhyatma Ramayan daily. Those people who listen to it regularly get the fruit equivalent to donating millions of cows. Having emerged from the mountain represented by Shiva and flowing in the Ram-like ocean, this river, represented by Adhyatma Ramayan, purifies the three worlds: subterranean, terrestrial, celestial. Once upon a time, on the summit of Mount Kailash, in an auspicious palace which had the splendor and majesty equivalent of hundreds of suns, was seated the Lord and the three eyes on a gem-studded throne in a meditative posture, surrounded by a crowd of siddhas. He is always fearless, is the remover of all sins, is the root of all bliss, peace, and tranquility, and is the Lord of all the gods. On his left was seated Mata Parvati, the daughter of Giri, the king of the mountains. She said the following words most humbly, prayerfully, and full of devotion. Parvati said, O Lord, O the abode of the world, I bow before you with folded hands. You are a witness of the inner thoughts of all and are the Supreme Lord. I want to ask about the elementary, eternal, and absolute truth about Sri Purushottam, because you are also eternal and the truth. Great souls disclose to their ardent followers even the greatest of secrets, which are not fit to be divulged to others. O Lord, I am also your devotee. You are most dear to me, hence describe all that I had asked you. That wisdom or knowledge, awareness, which helps a person to cross over this world-like ocean, a knowledge which is self-illuminating and self-radiant, which is steeped in devotion and renunciation, and which leads to self-realization. Please narrate it to me with logic and expertise, using a simple language and few words, so that I can easily understand, grasp it, in spite of me being a woman. Back in those days, it was not very easy to be proficient in such easy comprehensions regarding metaphysics and spiritual matters. Oh, the lotus-eyed one, Lord Shiva, I ask you one most secret of mysteries. Please describe first. It is well established that pristine, pure, true, uncorrupted devotion, dedication, and submission for Sri Ram, who is the essence of all the world, is like a strong and sturdy boat for crossing his ocean like mundane world. To free oneself from the shackles of this mundane, artificial world, devotion, submission, and worship are the only famed way. There is no better way to do this. In spite of that, please pierce the sack of doubts or confusions in my heart with your pure spike like words. The Siddhas, who are devoid of mistakes and are wise, call Sri Ram the most exalted, supreme being, matchless, the primordial cause of all that exists, and as being beyond the attributes associated with nature. While at the same time they attain the supreme state of his holy feet by worshipping and adoring him day and night. But some say that despite being the supreme absolute Lord, Sri Ram did not realize the nature of his true self because of being covered by Maya. That is why he had to listen to discourses in order to understand or realize the truth about his own self. Hence, I want to know that if he was aware about the elementary truth of existence and the truthful, real nature of the pure self, why then did he woefully lament for Sita so much? And if he was not a self-realized and attained soul, then he was like other ordinary mortal beings. Why then should he be worshipped, adored, and honored? What is your view in this matter? Please tell me in a language consisting of simple words so that my doubts and confusions are dispelled. Lord Shiva said, O goddess, you are the blessed one. You are a great devotee of the Supreme Absolute Lord, that you wish to know about the essential or elementary truth about the true nature of Sri Ram. Before this, no one had asked me to describe his most difficult and mysterious secret. Today, you have earnestly asked me with due reverence. Hence, I shall answer your questions after praying and paying obeisance to Sri Ram. Sri Ram is without doubt beyond nature, is without a beginning, is an abode, treasury of bliss, peace and tranquility, is matchless and peerless, and is the best and most supreme, exalted, absolute Lord. He has created this world out of his own Maya and is present inside and outside of it like the sky. He lives inside all creatures in the form of a microcosmic soul or Atma, from where he governs this world. Even as an inert piece of iron becomes active when in contact with a magnet, so do this world always moves around aimlessly by the mere wish of his powers called Maya. Those ignorant ones whose hearts are covered by a sheath of ignorance do not recognize that supreme absolute soul called Ram. Those fools and ignorant ones impose their ignorance and stupidity even on the Lord who is beyond delusions and who is most pure and most wise. Such lowly fools who are always engrossed in wife and sons, that is, meaning to say worldly ties, remain busy in various worldly deeds, as a result of which they always remain dumped in the cycle of birth and death in this mundane, artificial, delusionary world. Those ignorant and stupid fools do not recognize the supreme soul called Ram, who resides in their heart, even as they are not aware of the wooden girdle of beads lying around their necks. As a matter of fact, like darkness cannot exist inside the sun, ignorance too cannot survive or live inside the most exalted, supreme, and absolute God, who is the most exalted and supreme soul, Paramatma, called Sri Ram, who is beyond nature, who is the treasury or abode of most purest of knowledge, and is an embodiment of enlightenment and wisdom. Even as the walls of a room and other objects seem to go round and round in circles in front of the eyes when one spins around, the people similarly accuse the Atma for the good or bad effects of deeds done by their bodies and sense organs, and thereby get trapped in a vortex of illusions. Even as the splendor and illumination of the sun is never violated, and there is no distinction between day and night with it. How can both Gyan and Agyan live or exist simultaneously in Sri Ram, who is a treasure or fount of pure consciousness? Hence, there is not even a fraction of ignorance, confusion, or doubt in Sri Ram, who is an embodiment of supreme bliss, peace, and tranquility, who is a treasury of enlightenment and true knowledge, who is a witness to the existence of ignorance and is lotus-eyed. Since he is the creator of Maya, the latter cannot attract him. O Parvati, on this subject, I shall tell you the conversation between Sita, Sri Ram, and Hanuman, which is a medium of attaining emancipation and salvation, and which is a great secret, very difficult to know. In an earlier era, during one of Sri Ram's incarnation, when he had slayed the demon Ravana, who was like a thorn for the gods, along with his sons, army, and mount, had then returned to Ayodhya, accompanied by Sita, Sugriv, Lakshmana, Hanuman, and other monkeys. He was crowned there and surrounded by Vashishta and other sages and seers. He sat on the throne and looked as splendorous and glorious as crores of suns. At that time, Hanuman, who had finished all the jobs assigned to him and did not want anything in return as a reward for his services, and who was wise and eager to learn, Gyan, stood before him with folded hands. Seeing him, Sri Ram said to Sita, "This fellow Hanuman is greatly devoted and dedicated to both of us. He is without sins and is worthy of acquiring the true, essential, supreme, absolute knowledge called Gyan. Therefore, you should teach him the elementary and essential truths about my true nature." Then Sita, who is the daughter of Janak and who cast her delusionary spell on the world, said, "All right," to Sri Ram and began to narrate the essence of Sri Ram to Hanuman, who had sought their refuge in search of true knowledge. Sita said, "O son Hanuman, you should recognize Sri Ram as the supreme Brahman, who is the sublime, real, truthful, matchless, peerless supreme soul, and who is the treasury, abode of eternal bliss, happiness, peace, and tranquility. Without doubt, he is devoid of any or all honors or attributes, is the only and exclusive authority, is not the subject matter of mind, intellect, and sense organs, is a treasury of bliss, joy, peace, and tranquility, is most pure and holy, is without any faults and reproof, is Niranjan, is all-pervading, omnipresent, self-illuminated, and a Paramatma who is without any sins, blemishes or evils. And you must recognize me, that is Sita saying, as the pristine, sublime nature behind creation, sustenance, and annihilation. Indeed, I create this delusionary world in conjunction with him, Sri Ram, without any let up or indolence. In spite of it, the ignorant people charge him of being the creator of this creation of mine, which I have done myself by simply being near to him. So, his taking birth in Ayodhya in the most pure clan of Raghu, then helping sage Vishwamitra by protecting his fire sacrifice, liberating Ahilya from her curse, and breaking the bow of Lord Shiva were all due to my influence or wish. Thereafter, he betrothed me, demolished the vanity and haughtiness of sage Parashuram, and stayed with me for 12 years in Ayodhya. Then he went to Dandaka forest, slayed Virad, killed Marich in the form of the decoy golden deer, and unreal or the illusionary Sita was then abducted by Ravana. Then Jatayu, the vulture, and Kabandh, the demon, were liberated from their sinful bodies. The Lord was worshipped by Shabari, the tribal woman, and thereafter he befriended Sugriva, the king of the monkeys, the Vanaras. Thereby, Bali was slain, Sita was searched, a bridge was constructed over the ocean, and Lanka was besieged. Then he, Sri Ram, slayed the evil Ravana along with his sons in the war. Vibhishan was crowned on the throne of Lanka, and then he returned by the Pushpak plain back to Ayodhya along with me. He was enthroned on the throne of Ayodhya, though all these events were done by me. The ignorant people allege or claim that they were done by Sri Ram, whose faultless, uniform, supreme soul who resides in all. This Ram, in fact, does not walk, nor step, nor feel remorse or sorrowful, nor have any desire or wants, nor renounces or abandons, nor does any other deed or activity. He is an embodiment of bliss, peace, and tranquility, is stable, unwavering, and constant, and is without reward or results. It is only due to the influence or effect of Maya that he appears to be such. After that, Sri Ram himself addressed Hanuman, who was standing in front of him. I shall tell you the essential truth of Atma, the microcosmic soul. Anatma, not related to the soul, and Paramatma, the supreme macrocosmic soul or pure consciousness. Listen carefully. In a body of water, 3 different aspects of space, that is sky, are clearly evident. First is the Mahakash, the space which is all pervading and omnipresent. The second is water, specific water. That is the sky or space limited to the particular body of water. And the third is Pratibimb, the sky which is reflected from that water body's surface. Similarly, consciousness, the conscious soul, the living aspect of creation, is also of 3 types. One that pervades and is inherent to the intellect and discriminatory faculty. The second is that which is all-pervading and complete in all respects. And the third is that which is reflected from the intellect and discrimination faculty of the creatures, which is called image or shadow, Chetan. That is, the mind, the intellect, and the discrimination sense sometimes is misled to treat as divine or holy something or someone which in actual fact is not, while it may regard something or someone as being not holy or divine, whereas in actual fact it is. This is an illusion, which is called shadow or reflection of the truth. An image is always the reverse reflection of the original. Out of the three, the mind and intellect is activated by the influence of the third type of Chetan, that is, by the illusion or shadow of the actual thing. This illusion governs the action taken by the mind and intellect of the creature. But the foolish, ignorant ones think out of their delusions and ignorance that the uniform, faultless, eternally truthful soul is both the doer as well as the enjoyer of the fruits or rewards of the deeds or actions. In fact, the Supreme Soul has nothing to do with it. It is only due to the delusions that the mind and intellect think that the soul or Atma does this or that. That which we call Jiva, the living being, the soul or pure consciousness, has no shadow or reflected Chetan, because reflection or shadow is always illusionary and misleading. Ignorance causes the deceptive and misleading sense of being wise, knowing, and intelligent. The Supreme Soul is without a power, or it can be fractioned, divided, or differentiated in two or more parts. Hence, to consider it as being more than one indivisible entity is erroneous and fallacious, and is also due to this ignorant intellectual exercise. This is the reason why the indivisible microcosmic soul or the self is regarded synonymous with the macrocosmic soul, and the former is addressed with qualifying adjectives used for the latter. When one acquires the awareness of basic elementary truth of oneness of the soul and the Supreme Soul, by understanding the implications of the great Mahavakyas, that is, the great truths enunciated by the Vedas, at that moment, ignorance, along with its delusionary effects and incumbent actions, indeed become defunct. There is no doubt about it. My devotee, having understood or realized the truth behind my essential form, nature, or being, becomes eligible to become one with me. But those people who abandon my bhakti, that is devotion, and fall in the deep pit of scriptural knowledge, or do not get to know that truth, nor are they able to have emancipation and salvation, or the faultless and sinless one, this top secret knowledge, or mysteries like my heart, for I am nothing else but another form of the soul. What more? It is me, myself, who have told you all this. Even if you are enticed with the bait of getting wealth, which is equal to or more than the kingdom of Indra, you must not tell this to a wicked, pervert, and unscrupulous person. Lord Shiva said, O goddess Parvati, I have told you this so-called Ram Hridaya, which is most secret or mysterious, one which conquers the heart, is most pure, and is an eliminator or destroyer of all sins. This is the essence of the entire gamut of Vedanta and its philosophy, and is enunciated by Lord Ram himself. Anyone who reads and understands it with devotion conviction, and diligence, is sure to attain liberation from the shackles tying him to this mundane, artificial, and delusionary world by merely reading it. Many accumulated great sins or mahapap of many previous births, such as harming other creatures, etc., are surely destroyed, because this is what Sri Ram has said or declared himself. Those who are most corrupt, depraved, most sinful, are always yearning for and indulge in the wealth and women of others, are thieves, are killers, are planning the murder of their parents and harm the interest of yogis. If anyone among such sinful and perverted persons worships Sri Ram and reads the holy verses of this Ram Hridaya with devotion, conviction, and faith, then he attains that supreme stature which is worshipped and adored by even the gods, and which state is difficult even for the most exalted yogis to attain or access. That brings us to the end of Canto 1. Om